Jessica and Orca, a story of unbreakable bond, a fictional drama story. There are some bonds in this world that defy explanation. Connections so deep they transcend ordinary relationships. This is the story of Jessica and Orca, a tale of love, loyalty, and the complex emotions that exist between a human and one of the ocean's most magnificent creatures. Jessica was 30 years old and had made a choice that puzzled everyone around her. While friends were getting married and starting families, Jessica remained completely devoted to a single relationship that consumed her entire world. She was unmarried by choice, dedicating every moment to the creature she simply called Orca. Orca is everything for me, Jessica would say when people questioned her lifestyle. Orca is my family. He is my child. He is my whole world. Her mother had tried countless times to convince her to change her path. Jessica, you need to live in your house like a normal person. Find a husband, have children. This obsession isn't healthy. But Jessica couldn't hear her mother's concerns over the sound of Orca's gentle calls that seemed to speak directly to her heart. She had raised Orca from when he was small, and their bond had grown into something she believed was unbreakable. Jessica started as a trainer, learning marine mammal care and communication. But as she and Orca grew together, their relationship evolved far beyond anything professional. They began performing shows together, their routines so synchronized that audiences gasped in amazement at their apparent telepathic connection. The money Jessica earned from their performances was substantial, but she spent almost every penny on Orca. She bought him the finest fish, the most nutritious supplements, and anything that might bring him joy. Whatever remained, she distributed to marine conservation causes, keeping only what she needed for her simple lifestyle. Jessica truly believed she understood everything about Orca, and more importantly, that Orca understood her completely. She would spend hours sitting by his pool, talking to him about her dreams and fears. Orca would float nearby, his intelligent eyes focused on her face, making soft sounds that Jessica interpreted as responses. "You're loyal to me, aren't you, boy?" she would whisper, running her hand along his massive head. "We understand each other in ways no one else could ever comprehend." But even the strongest bonds can be tested by unexpected challenges. The incident that would change everything began with Jessica's decision to take a business trip to New York. It was a 3-day journey for a marine conservation conference, something that aligned with Jessica's passion for protecting ocean life. She had never left Orca for more than a single day, but this opportunity was too important to pass up. The night before her departure, Jessica spent hours by Orca's pool, explaining where she was going and promising she would return. "It's just 3 days, I promise I'll be back." Orca seemed to listen intently, his large eye fixed on Jessica's face as she spoke. But there was something in his posture, a tension she couldn't interpret, that made her uneasy about leaving. During Jessica's absence, Orca's behavior deteriorated rapidly. On the first day, he seemed merely subdued, floating quietly, and showing little interest in his usual activities. By the second day, he had stopped eating entirely. The facility's veterinary staff ran tests, but Orca appeared physically healthy. His behavior, however, was deeply concerning. By the third day, Orca had become increasingly agitated. He would swim in rapid circles, vocalize loudly at unusual hours, and refuse all attempts at interaction from other staff members. It was as if he was calling out for someone who wasn't there. When Jessica returned from New York, she was excited to share her experiences with Orca. The conference had been successful, and she had made valuable connections for marine conservation efforts. She rushed to the facility, eager to reunite with her beloved companion after their longest separation. But the moment Jessica appeared at the pool edge, she knew immediately that something had fundamentally changed. Orca's usual joyful greeting never came. Instead, he remained at the far end of the pool, his body language tense and his vocalization sharp and agitated. "Hey, beautiful boy, I'm back," Jessica called softly, using the special voice that had always brought him swimming over eagerly. But Orca's response was unlike anything she had ever experienced. His movements were sharp, almost confrontational, and his clicking sounds weren't the happy communications she knew, but something harsher and more intense. Staff members approached Jessica with obvious concern. "He's been like this since the second day you were gone," one explained. "He won't eat, won't interact with anyone.
वहाँ इसने ऑर्का मछलियों की शानदार करतब देखे और इस लम्हे इसने फैसला किया
and knew that highly intelligent creatures like orcas could experience complex emotions, but she had never seen such behavior directed at her from Orca. The realization hit her like a physical blow. Orca was angry
कि वो भी एक रोज ऑर्का ट्रेनर बनेगी.
"It's okay, Orca," she said, kneeling at the pool edge with tears in her eyes. "I'm sorry I was gone. I didn't realize how much it would hurt you, but I'm here now. We're together again." She reached out to touch the water, a gesture that usually brought Orca gliding over for affection. Instead, he remained motionless, his dark eye fixed on her with an intensity that was both accusatory and heartbroken. For the first time in their relationship, Jessica understood that she had genuinely hurt the creature she loved most in the world. Orca's reaction wasn't just behavioral,
इसे दोनों एक दूसरे के दिल की बात समझते हैं.
And directed specifically at her perceived betrayal of their bond. The realization that Orca had experienced her absence as abandonment devastated Jessica. She had always believed their connection transcended such concerns, but now she understood that Orca's emotions were far more complex and vulnerable than she had ever imagined. Over the following days, Jessica worked tirelessly to repair their damaged bond. She spent every possible moment at the facility, sleeping in the trainer's office so she could be near Orca throughout the night. She brought his favorite foods, played his preferred music, and spoke to him constantly, explaining her actions and reaffirming her love and commitment. "I understand everything about Orca now," Jessica would say to anyone who would listen. He felt ashamed about his angry reaction when he realized how much it hurt our relationship. These creatures have advanced brains capable of complex emotions like shame, love, and forgiveness. Slowly, gradually, Orca began responding to her again. His initial anger gave way to what seemed like hurt confusion, then cautious reconciliation. But their relationship had been fundamentally changed by the experience. There was a new depth to their connection, built on Jessica's newfound understanding of just how deeply Orca could feel. During their training sessions, Orca would occasionally pause mid-routine, as if checking to make sure Jessica was still fully present and focused on him. These moments broke Jessica's heart, reminding her of the trust she had inadvertently damaged. Jessica began declining all travel opportunities, turning down conferences, speaking engagements, and any commitments that would take her away from Orca for more than a few hours. When people asked why she had become so reclusive, she would simply say, "Orca needs consistency. I can't risk hurting him again." Her mother's concerns about Jessica's lifestyle intensified. "You're letting that animal control your entire existence. This isn't healthy, Jessica. You need relationships with people, not just with a whale." But Jessica couldn't explain to her mother what others didn't understand. Her relationship with Orca wasn't just professional. It was a profound emotional bond that had taught her about love, loyalty, and the complex inner lives of creatures most people dismissed as simple animals. When Orca realized how his anger had affected our relationship, he felt genuine shame. Jessica would explain to the few people who truly listened. "He has advanced emotions, just like humans do. How can people not see that these creatures have souls?" The veterinary staff who worked with Orca confirmed Jessica's observations. After his initial anger subsided, Orca had displayed what could only be described as remorseful behavior. He would approach Jessica cautiously, as if seeking forgiveness, then retreat when she tried to interact normally. "It's like he knows he overreacted," one veterinarian noted. "I've never seen such emotionally complex behavior in a marine mammal. The shame he's displaying is almost human-like." As months passed, Jessica and Orca slowly rebuilt their relationship on an even deeper foundation. Their performances regained their legendary quality, but now there was an additional layer of emotional complexity that audiences could sense even if they couldn't articulate it. Jessica developed new ways of communicating with Orca that went beyond traditional training. She created gestures that weren't about performance, but about emotional connection and reassurance. Before every show, she would spend quiet moments with Orca, reaffirming their bond and ensuring he felt secure in her presence. "People think I'm crazy for believing Orca has complex emotions," Jessica would tell other trainers. "But I've seen him experience anger, shame, love, and forgiveness. Anyone who spends real time with these creatures knows they have inner lives as rich as our own." The incident had taught Jessica valuable lessons about responsibility and the depth of interspecies relationships. She realized that Orca's dependence on her was both a gift and an enormous responsibility. His emotional investment in their bond meant that her actions
Jessica
had
का show बाकी
consequences she had never fully considered. Jessica's story became legendary among marine mammal professionals, not just for the depth of her bond with Orca, but for her insight into the emotional complexity of these magnificent creatures. She became an advocate for recognizing the psychological needs of marine mammals in human care. Years later, when Jessica was asked about the most important lesson she had learned from her relationship with Orca, her answer was always the same. Love isn't enough. You also need understanding, patience, and the wisdom to recognize that even the strongest relationships require constant nurturing and respect. Orca taught me that trust, once damaged, must be
और इसमें
carefully
सिर्फ
rebuilt,
जेसिका ही इसके
and that
साथ परफॉर्म
forgiveness is one of
करेगी।
the most beautiful emotions any creature can express. The bond between Jessica and Orca continued to deepen over the years that followed. They had weathered a crisis that could have destroyed their relationship, but instead emerged with a connection built on mutual understanding and genuine emotional intimacy. Jessica never married, never had children in the traditional sense, and never regretted her choice. She had found her purpose in loving and understanding one of the ocean's most magnificent and emotionally complex creatures. Her story became a testament to the profound connections possible between humans and marine mammals, while also serving as a reminder of the enormous responsibility that comes with such relationships. In the end, Jessica and Orca's story wasn't about perfect harmony. It was about real, complicated, and deeply meaningful love between two beings who had chosen to understand each other across the vast divide of species and element. Their bond proved that some connections transcend the ordinary boundaries of nature, creating relationships that change both participants forever.